Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. This video is actually to show you some scraps for a penny auction, but I thought I'd jump in and just tell you a few things, and then I will go to my fabric table, my cutting table, my sewing area, and show you those scraps. So when we get to that point, if you're not interested in that at all, you can drop off. But so far, today has been pretty busy. I got my second COVID shot. I was leaning toward not getting it because even though I remember saying that the first shot didn't hurt, I was petrified thinking that, well, maybe I just got lucky that time. Maybe this time it's going to hurt. So I went to Walgreens as nervous as I was the first time. And I pulled my shirt up and he wanted it up a little higher, but it kept falling down. So he says, "Can you hold it?" And he said that when I was like this. I mean, I had my eyes covered. I didn't want to even see him walk to this side, even though I knew I would know that because I can hear, and I could hear him walking. So I said, "But I have to have my hand over my eyes." And he didn't laugh at that. I thought it was kind of funny. So I held it. And I was trying to like hold it with my chin, so and he says, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No." I said, "I'm just really nervous." And I don't think he understood that I meant, "No, I'm not all right. I'm nervous, and this is why I'm covering my eyes." I think he just thought, "Are you all right? Like, are you fucked up in the mind there, lady? What the hell are you doing? Use your hand to hold your shirt." He really had no sense of humor, or either that I am just flat out not funny. So I finally held the shirt for him so we could get it over with, and I just kept my eyes closed, and it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. But this time I was smart, and I had it in the left arm. The last time I asked the guy, I said, "I'm right-handed. Does it matter if it's in the right arm?" Because that's the one he was going for. He says, "Oh no, it won't even be sore." And it was sore. Not like, "Oh my God," not that kind of sore, but I used my right arm to cut fabric, and that was a little daunting. So left arm this time, but I wanted to get it over with because it was actually 4 weeks since I got it. I was able to have it after 3 weeks. I was just dragging my feet, and I finally said, I just got to go do this. All right, so there. I'm fully vaccinated, even though it doesn't kick in right away. And one of the reasons that I even bothered, and I don't care if you get vaccinated or not, that's everybody's choice. I so want people to do what they want to do. And it really breaks my heart when I see people on Facebook saying, "If you don't get the vaccine, we can no longer be friends." It's like, what the hell? Let people do what they want to do. Anyway, let's not get political. I'm just saying, whatever. Do whatever you want. I did it because one of the transports, the very expensive one for my mother, $10,900, which I absolutely can't justify paying. If I wanted to hop along for that ride, because I can go at no extra charge, because they're already charging way too much, and I almost would like to because it's luxurious. And I thought this would be like a mini vacation for me, but yet, of course, I'd still be working somehow. I would have to be fully vaccinated, and I have to wait like after the second shot, 2 weeks or whatever it is. I don't know when it kicks in, but I know there's a little bit of kicking in time. So I really had to do it just in case I find another transport who also says I would have to be fully vaccinated if I end up going for that ride. My mother is fully vaccinated. Okay, that's enough about the vaccination. I got it done. That's why. And you do what you want. Yeah, the transportation. I have no luck so far today. My goal was to call 3 different ones, and I called 3 different ones. And it started out bad and kind of just got worse. The first one, first of all, the first call, everything I said echoed back to me, and I mentioned it to her because I was going to say, can we try again? But I told her, I says, I have a really big echo coming back to me. She goes, I know. She says, they're working on that. It's been like that for a few days. So I knew that that wasn't going to get fixed. She's like, but let's, I can hear you. Can you hear me? And I said, yes. So I told her I just wanted a quote. Instead of finding out all the things they do, I just want a quote first, because if it's outrageous, then I'll just move on. And their quote came in a little bit lower. Gee, I didn't even write it down, but it was 6,000 something. It was like $1,000 less than, did I write it? You would think I would write it. $6,750. And so far the lowest I have is $7,800. But while talking to her, ooh, I'm doing this and sore. I guess I won't be flapping my wings tonight. I finally asked a little bit about their service, and she says it's 2 trained EMTs, and they take turns driving, and when one is driving, the other one is with my mother. And I said, well, what about when one is sleeping? She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, somebody has to sleep. It's like a 24-hour trip. She goes, oh, no, they just drive right through. I said, but one of them has to be sleeping at some point to take that, to take their turn to drive. I said, so if one is sleeping and one is driving, who's taking care of my mother? She goes, I never thought of that. So she says, I'm going to switch you over to someone else, which I liked because at least the someone else didn't have a phone that was echoing back at me. And it was a man, and I asked him, and he says, no. He says, nobody sleeps. He says, that's not the way it works. And I said, what do you mean nobody sleeps? I said, you mean at some point there's going to be someone driving my mother who hasn't slept for the past 20 hours? He goes, ma'am, you don't know how it works. He says, they have 48-hour shifts off and then 24-hour shifts on. And I said, I don't care if they have 48 hours off. That doesn't mean they're sleeping 48 hours and banking that so that they can stay awake for 20. I couldn't wrap it around my head that neither one of them would sleep. And he said, no. He says, when one is driving, the other one is taking care of your mother. He says, so he's not driving. And so when it's his turn to drive, he won't have been driving all that time. I says, but he's still been awake all that time. And then he said, oh, what did he say? He says, look, he says, we've been doing this for 13 years. He says, you're not going to find anybody that has a third person, because I said I expected there to be a nurse or something to be with my mother. He says, you're not going to find anybody out there with a third person. I said, well, the first 2 that I've called had a third person. He goes, well, the ones that are driving are not EMTs. I said, well, one of them is. That's the expensive one, 2 EMTs and a nurse. And then he just said something else that sounded snotty, and I was like, okay, bye-bye. It's exactly how I said it. Okay, bye-bye, and I hung up. I was sick to my stomach that I just went through that. And it makes me worry. It worries me that my mother would be in a vehicle with strangers driving for that many hours, and then he's telling me on top of that they're not sleeping. I called the second option, and that one had a number, and I dialed that number like this because I wasn't using my cell phone. And, well, I guess you do that with a cell phone too. I don't know. My kind of phone. And then I hear a message saying, the number you dialed, blah, 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 blah. And she gives me a completely different number. I'm like, how could I have ever gotten it that wrong? And I thought, well, maybe I hit redial or something and it's something else. So I dialed it again and got the same message. So I did another search for that company name, and I found a newer website with a number that wasn't the first number I dialed. So I said, maybe that's what they were saying. So I called that number, and yeah, that is what they were saying, because they said it again. The number you dialed is no longer in use or whatever. So I said, well, that company folded, obviously. They have no phone number anymore that's working. Third attempt was long-distance transport, non-emergency, and, I read a little bit on the site to see if there's anything that sticks out that makes me not even want to bother to call them. And I called and I said, yes, I'd like a quote from Maine to Mississippi. And she said, Maine? She says, we don't do that. And I says, well, aren't you long distance? She says, yeah, but only if you start in California. Now, that could be something they could have had. So I was nice to her. I said, oh, I didn't know. Thank you. And hung up. That's how far I got today. And I'm done. I'm done. I don't feel good because of all that bullshit. The first guy just set me off. What else? Microwave. I was a delivery person today. Last night, I took pictures of my mother's microwave because I really need to try to get rid of some of these things. I have to do her little refrigerator because I have to pay for refrigerators to go out. And I can't just dump that. I have to pay, I think it's $25 at my dump, $25 per refrigerator, even if it's a little tiny piece of shit one. And it's not a piece of shit, it's nice, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, hers is pretty good size. Oh my God. I did list her microwave, and I sold it. But somebody wanted it last night. It was pouring rain, and I said, you know, you could come tonight? And I thought, they're not going to want to come. It's pouring rain. And she said, actually, I don't have a ride. She said, so I won't be able to come. And I said, if it's still available tomorrow, I can let you know. And she was just in Springvale, 2 miles away. And I said, I'll bring it to you because it's something I can carry. And I completely forgot about that. And she contacted me and said, do you still have it? And I was like, oh, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot. And I said, are you there right now? I can come right now. And she said, yes. I said, okay, I'll be right there. And I went, and so she got my mother's nice microwave, like new, $20. And I looked at the prices, and almost everyone had 20, and some were a little higher. So I said, I'll start with 20. So I was glad that that's off my mother's counter, but so many things. All right, I've talked enough. Let's go and look at that fabric really quick. We have this today, and I still have more scraps, and I still am creating scraps. So please keep checking back until I move, because I'm going to keep listing things. You know, I might as well. I'm here, I can do that, and it gets rid of some things. So this is going to be a penny auction. Starts at 1 penny, free shipping. It is USA only. And again, I'm not going to measure. I can probably measure this piece. Let me measure it right now. I measured this. It's folded right now, but you get over a yard of this muslin, unbleached, and it's got those little specks in it, the seeds. And I absolutely love this muslin. So there you go. We're starting with that. We have a strip that looks like this. You got some birdhouses and some mountains. I don't know. Another piece of muslin that's the same kind. Don't know how much. I'm going to tell you the weight of this, everything, and then I give you an idea of how many yards that would include, because these are not all width of the fabric. There's pieces that have been cut. Some are, like this one isn't. It's just some white, some pieces here. See how it's been cut? But it gives you, some nice prints to do some nice projects. This one's a little bit wrinkled. That. This. Kind of a big piece here, and that's folded. Some solid black with little bits and pieces of fuzz on it. Let me just tell you how much of the black. And it looks like about a half a yard. Yep, half a yard of black. Full width of the fabric. Both selvages are there. This, I don't remember what I did with this. I think I used it in a video because it's like a brushed cotton. It's not quite flannel because the back side is smooth, but this side is a little bit brushed. You can use it. Put it in your crumb quilts or crazy quilts. Scrap like this, it does open up. These are pieces that I used in my mother's quilt that I had made her for one of her birthdays. Oh, I remember using this in my sampler quilt. A little scrap like that, nice colors, good for crumbing. This is actually, it was listed as batik because of the way it's dyed. You know, it's got a batik look to it and feel, but then it's printed. It's a printed batik. And I don't know if that's maybe a fat quarter. Anyway, you have two pieces like that. So that's cool. Another little scrap with a hair. You know, I'm human. I have hair. Oh, here's a big piece of that funkified fabric that I just showed you a little piece of. See how cool? And you can fussy cut these pieces like this to, you know, to put in your quilts. I mean, or you can just use big pieces. But it gives you a lot of little prints for crumb quilting. I can't wait to be able to do some crumb quilting. I haven't sewn in several months. The very last video, I don't know what it was, but if you look at my videos, you know, the last time that, I think it was a quilt block, that's the last time I sewed anything other than hemming or shortening a couple of nighties for my mother. Nothing fun for me since then. Well, this is a big piece. Looks like full width of the fabric. Looks like maybe about a ½ yard. Cool. We're getting there. Some mottled fabric like this. Big piece of gray. Flowers. Very nice. And this. This was a print that was like, it has SF and SY. And SF, I think it says it in the selvage somewhere. So Fun. So Fun is the SF. Here we go. So You. So Fun. RJR Fabrics. When you have a print that you're not in love with, you know, like this is, you know, I don't know. Go small. You could do 2-inch squares, and some 2-inch squares might have like a partial, like this partial green, partial yellow. That's interesting. Or, you know, you could maybe fussy cut some so that you have these little circles in your 2-inch square, the stars or whatever. You know, or crumb quilts. You know, you just cut pieces and put it in a crumb quilt, and all is good with the world. So you get all this, starts at a penny, free shipping. The link will be down below, and I have other stuff in my eBay store, so go check it all out. And I guess that is it for moi today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.